I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic.
Great Mother speaks to us as the Holy Spirit that inspired our incarnation, the still small voice of intuition that guides it, and what we know in and through each new and full moon phase of our lives. And of course, the lunar cycle is marked by the dance between Great Mother, Father God. It's light and shadows, that perpetual dance that's going on. And right now we have the nodal axes, okay, and that's all lunar oriented as well. There's a point upon the elliptical where the moon and the sun meet, and that's called the nodes. And that changes every 18 months, and now we're in a phase midway through. We've just had our mid-eclipse readings about a month ago. The North Node is in Leo, and the South Node is in Aquarius, and the Western and the North Node is in Cancer and in Capricorn and the Sidereal. And so what happens with these types of readings is that we really get a look into the planetary, your signs, collective consciousness and unconsciousness, specifically with lunar readings, and individual if you get a personal reading into the precise nature of how these energies are supporting you to feel and experience that divinity regardless of what's going on in our lives. When you know and live by your divinity, you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your heart and mind and body. You feel you are dearly loved. You feel that you are a child of the Great Mother, Father God, the mother of all mothers, the father of all fathers. You know that. You live, breathe, and have your being through this inner awareness. And this inner awareness, I summarize in a way for us to connect this feeling with one another and through one another in these readings. And they are free principles. The first principle is that we are dearly loved children of the Great Mother, Father God. Just saying it, just asserting that. Because that is the whole deal, right? That is the divinity, is in knowing and owning that. The deck has gods and goddesses on each card, and it's all about us owning our divinity as gods and goddesses by recognizing and seeing that those energies also emanate through and as us as well. The second principle is that we are never, ever condemned or left alone. We live in a world of relentless retribution. Even our entertainment is about judging. Hey, I love Judge Judy. And I think I love it, speaking for myself, just those type of court shows, really. The other entertainment things, not so much. But just personally, I mean, we all have our favorites because this is the collective consciousness, right? So for me, I like watching her because it's some kind of resolve that gets beyond the judgment and looks at really what is the equity of the situation, which is what these readings help us to see. They help us to see our soul experience and really what it's trying to do as us and through us. So we're never judged or condemned. We are just made more aware. And the third principle is that we're never left alone. Our angels, guides, and ancestors are always with us. We are so dearly loved that even in our illusionary experience in this earth realm, we are constantly being reminded of that if we would just tap into and own our divinity. So this feeling, this very nature of the moon sign, the very intuitive breath of inspiration of all life is what we are saying here with Great Mother speaking through her still small voice to us and through us, this feminine nature within ourselves to be able to receive and acknowledge this love is where we, in our physical form, tend to experience this divinity as shadows, darkness, challenges, and obstacles in life that keep us from actually having that root, instinctual, intuitive, primeval sense of this eternal love. So through these disappointments in life, as a result of abandonment or experiences of abuse that create pain and produce trauma so early in life and so routinely, we forget our divinity, and that these constraints that we experience, shadows, darkness, challenges, obstacles, etc., are really there as a means to remind us that we're never alone, that we're never judged or condemned, that we are divine. And so how is that, you say? How is this a means to remind me? Well, we are more than our physical selves. And so a challenge that is insurmountable to the ego mind. And here, when we talk about ego, we're talking about our biography, the story that we tell. If you were to write the book of your life, on the inside flap, the way you would describe yourself after your name is what we mean by ego here, because we are working from the presumption that either the ego is already healthy, or that you are here because you are striving to align your ego with your soul to become healthy. So there's a level of consciousness that's presumed in these videos being watched as well. So these obstacles, these shadows are constantly reminding us that we're more than our physical bodies, because when we surrender to the obstacle and the challenge or the shadow, especially if it's a new moon shadow, that is the opportune time to present our wishes and our prayers to the cosmos based on the energy that's available. We've just had our Pisces new moon, and so that energy was all about our psychic and mystical selves and trusting that and learning to surrender to that and wishes associated with that. And so each lunar cycle in the new moon phase, we can surrender ourselves so that we can see ourselves beyond the challenges. These challenges are also loving opportunities presented by Great Mother's shadows, because she speaks to us through signs and symbols. These shadows of the lunar phases, they help us to balance the mundaneness and intensity of the physical linear world that we experience in the ego body. Okay, so to every up, there's a down. To every in, there's an out, etc. And so there's yin-yang throughout the cosmos as we know it. And so there is this balancing effect that we experience in the physical world. But what Great Mother is reminding us of through these experiences of pain and trauma oftentimes is that we need to balance the mundaneness and the intensity of this physical linear world with our spiritual insight, with our internal imaginative wisdom that is always capable of facing that challenge and staring it down. That third eye of Horus, that's what that's about. That big old eye is like looking at this obstacle problem that we think is the world, and the end of it like, I've seen you before, I hear you come again, which usually is what trauma is all about. It's a pattern that the soul has had that is always being called up to be healed. And so that third eye of Horus is an opportunity always eternally available to us to, again, surrender to in order to balance that mundaneness of those patterns, the mundaneness of this day in, day out life that seems like it will never end, that is overwhelming us, that we have no control over. And we focus on the intensity of this need to control as opposed to simply being in charge of our divinity. And so another way that I like to share with individuals that this great mother energy supports us is by building our inner strength through these challenges. Now, I know that we hear this all the time, but what is really being said here is that the kind of inner strength that great mother is building, of course, is that soul strength that refreshes it, that soul evolutionary energy that it can experience within our physical life. We don't have to physically release the body and die in order for the soul to evolve. We can evolve and be reborn, as many of us know, be resurrected into a new self within our lives as we align with our soul, sometimes reluctantly. But here there's an opportunity to build that inner strength and resiliency on a soul level consciously. And so we can do it consciously or unconsciously, but when we know that the shadows through the phases from the new moon to the crescent, to the first quarter, to the full moon, third quarter, and the balsamic are all about energies within the constellations and the many mansions, the star mansions, the houses in the sky, to place us emotionally and intuitively in a space that we can feel the support, well, then these readings make a whole lot more sense. And so that's why knowing our birth chart, that eloquent picture of our soul and the ego experience it chose as us, is useful. Okay, so we can, actually locate ourselves. So because each of our stories and soul scenarios are so different that, Great Mother even channeled to me the universal heroine's tale of Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz for the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, just so we could have a connection point, a through line, that we could all kind of have as a touch point and a touchstone for these readings. And originally I had prayed to Great Mother asking for guidance about how to get immediate downloads from her for individuals healing from mama drama trauma, which is my area of life coaching specialization. I'm an inner work life coach who specializes in the term that I coined, mama drama trauma, the taboo Me Too subject. And so there is a lot of information about that if you're interested. But what I have found out is that these readings really help anyone, any walk of life who is sensitive. They tend to be empathic or intuitive individuals that, for the most part, feel blocked, constrained, or paralyzed by emotions that are really originating from unacknowledged shadows. We all have shadows, and that is, it's an unacknowledged shame. It's something that we'd rather not admit in ourselves, a quality, something. And so these are aspects in our chart. They're not secrets. They're right there staring at us in our birth chart. I mean, I know, like, for me, it was really shocking when I was learning to read charts. And, as you learn, you go back to your own stuff. And I was cycling back to my own chart. And I learned that I was coming off a certain way to people because that is what my soul needed and what it wanted to be able to focus on what it needed to do this lifetime. So while my ego was feeling alienated and alone, my soul was like, good, I need space. I need to be alone. I got a lot of stuff to do. I ain't got time to be bothered this lifetime. I kick it with y'all the next go round. But this go round, I am really enjoying this anonymity. So That's something that people, who always say, oh, you should be doing this and people should be knowing what you're doing, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, Great Mother gets to all of us the way that she needs to. I don't need to be on a buglehorn about anything. The way the energies work is that we're all attracted to what we need, aren't we? And so with my work and my experience, I have found that this deck really does work. So if you are a subscriber, you've probably heard me refer to this quite a lot, that these readings are really designed for intuitives, sensitives, and empaths. Anybody can listen. Everybody's invited. It's just that I started uploading them for my clients as a support, interim support between sessions, because I like to teach my clients how to read their own birth chart to become conscious and everything. So anyway, that's important because the readings are not about telling you how you are feeling, okay? I'm not telling you how you feel. The readings are about you being able to be aware of what the celestial and planetary energies are that are affecting your emotional body, okay? And that you have a way out. Especially if you are a highly sensitive person, it gives you a way out of those blocked, constraining, and emotionally paralyzing situations, so that you can again be in touch with your divinity in a way that you're not overwhelmed by the emotion. And so Great Mother really wanted to connect through my work with people who have problems with the emotional connection and trusting the intuition or being overwhelmed by emotions. They tend to have some type of mama drama trauma or daddy drama trauma because that allowed for that intuition to be hyper served and to be hyper developed for survival. And Great Mother really wants to come through to her children who have had that alienating and estranged experience from the birth home experience, so that they can feel her love and learn how to get in touch with her love. She's really wanting to connect with them through my work. So I want to share that with you about the deck and about what the readings are about, because if you can unlock how the shadows bind you, and you can keep those challenges and obstacles from doing that, then you can shine your light in the world, your unique light. It wasn't until I was able to get in touch with that within myself, that whole thing about how I connect with people and the ego feeling alone emotionally and stuff, but my soul on an intuitive level kept on telling me it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. We need to get down to work. You only have so much time here. When I came to peace with that, oh my God, do I feel my divinity or what? I mean, the downloads I get are just... So let me go ahead. Okay. So, excuse me. So remember, Glinda in The Wizard of Oz, the Good Witch, she symbolizes Great Mother in The Wizard of Oz, okay? And remember, she inspired Dorothy to go to Oz, okay, who symbolizes Great Father, that yellow brick road, gut chakra, that instinctual part of us. Eye of Horus, sixth chakra, is that intuitive part of us. And so we have that ego-soul connection there. We have the rainbow world of Oz, the chakras. And so that experiential existence, the gods and goddesses in the deck, the chakra in the deck, the chakras in the deck, the lunar cycles in the deck. She came through with all of that, and she had Dorothy go there so that she could see the light of her being once again. She came from the black and white world of the yin and the yang, the origin of the cosmos, the birth family, the soul group, the urge to evolve and to experience, have sensory experience through the chakras. And she incarnated as she descended from the twister dream, okay, in the house, that root chakra rooted itself in Munchkin land, okay, and quickly growing through that onto the gut chakra, okay, the root chakra through the second chakra. Her desire, which she asserted, was to go back home in Munchkin land. And in the yellow brick road, the gut chakra, excuse me, Oz, the greenery of Oz, the heart chakra. So what we have here is her growing through that ego experience, that earth experience, to see her light again, which is Great Father, that light that shines and reminds us, of that greatness, okay? And so likewise, as the galaxies and planetary bodies, including our physical body, comprises the physical outer form of Great Father, the inner world of Great Mother, that still small voice that emanates from the primordial black hole and holds existence in her womb, is where we come from and express ourselves just like the planets and the galaxies, Great Father energy. Okay, so we're born of them and comprised of this energy. It is within us. We are made of star stuff. And our birth chart is just a picture of that star stuff at our birth. But we have transit charts as well. And so you can have a chart of when your child was born or when you got married or when you started a business. It'll talk about the birth of different things in your life as well. And so we do transit charts every new and full moon. This is the second quarter one. And we're looking at ourselves as such, as children of the Great Mother, Father, God, as divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. And so the most important thing in our birth chart, therefore, are our sun and moon signs, because they activate all other aspects. The sun, inescapable, fixed light, casts its light on the nature and personality of the soul, whose actions are inspired by the shadows of the moon, the soul essence. So Great Mother inspires the emotions and our intuition, inspire our actions, inspire those unique personality traits, what I like to call that cosmic calculus that makes us who we are and who we are learning more about through these readings and through our experiences with these readings, paying attention to what actually does, come about in your life, These loving trends that are constantly available to us are unlocked through these readings, that unconditional, compassionate, nurturing, kind nature that Great Mother has for us and Great Mother expresses, but it's hard again to see in the physical world, right? We talked about that. And so let's tap into the season of this quarter. It's a look at what the supportive energies are for you to plot and plan this quarter. And so the plotting and the planning is the plotting of your lot to plant, right? And that's the new moon energy. The realization of what you've planted, the fruition, the light coming to full illumination, is the full moon. And the full moon also at the back end of it is about releasing things from what you've planted that you decide, I really don't want that anymore, or I really thought I wanted it, but I don't want it now, or that really didn't come to full fruition, it really was kind of a stunted growth, so I'm going to pull it out, So that's the full moon reading. And so your birth chart is an elegant illustration of where your soul was at the time of its incarnation. So just like this seasonal reading is tapping it on this present time between April and June, your birth chart tapped into the exact snapshot of the unique positioning of the planets and constellations as they were at the time of your birth. This was most accurately calculated and clocked in the VEDIC, Jyotish, or Sidereal astrology, the cosmic astrology that looks at the soul. It is it signifies, this moon sign signifies the karmic nature of your soul. Okay. The Western or tropical that we use in the readings as well specifically locates the soul in its present focus on Earth. its earth experience, honing in on its emotional status and its unique body mind that the soul occupies at this time. Okay? And so this two-way communication nexus between the ego and the soul, as signified in the Western moon sign, where emotion is uploaded to the soul, sidereal, and intuition downloaded from the soul to the earth-centric Western sign, is really what we are talking about when we're going back and forth, or rather when I'm going back and forth in the readings. I'm talking about if you are, for example, Aries Taurus, then what you have is, for instance, if you have a Taurus moon sign, it's likely you have an Aries in the Vedic moon sign, okay? And this is already divinely aligned because the Taurus with the feminine Venus ruler and the Aries with the masculine Mars tells us the emotions of this fixed earth sign is providing the cardinal intuitive energy of the soul sign, an evolutionary opportunity to learn leadership in a physical environment enamored by sensory pleasure and stimulation. So, such deep pleasure through this awareness and knowledge of supportive celestial energies as they travel within, through, and around your lunar signs, houses, nodes, nakshatras, gives you a general reading for Taurus moon signs. In this example, to tell you what these energies are for your collective celestial unconscious based on the basic Aries sidereal moon sign. So I read the energies from the first house. So, for instance, this Aries Taurus example, the reading would make Taurus the first house, Gemini the second, Cancer the third, etc. However, if your unique individual chart, you have your moon sign in your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, or 12th house, book a personal reading for a precise assessment of your Western Vedic, solar, lunar, and ego soul energies supporting their alignment, and therefore your experience of divinity as a dearly loved child of the great Mother, Father, God, who is never judged or condemned or left alone. And with that, here is your 2018 second quarter moon sign, Great Mother Speaks reading.
Hello, Capricorn Aquarius moon people. Welcome to your reading. I'm going to tell you what I am sensing and what I'm seeing. What I'm sensing for you is that there is a tremendous opportunity this spring equinox season. If it is the fall, it's the harvest season for you in the southern hemisphere. You are really being offered an opportunity to turn a completely new leaf in terms of what success means to you, what achievement means to you in your life. And this could be a little unsettling for you because you already know your current definition so well. You already know your life and how you're living your life now so well. But this is not new to you. You have been getting indications, you have been getting signs that these interior wants, needs, and desires have been shifting, but there has been a obstinate resistance to transitioning into alignment with these higher ideals for yourself for good reason. I am sensing that this has to do with a domestic situation at home that you are currently perceiving as an obstacle to this, to such a degree that you are unable to do it, unwilling, or unavailable. So let's see what I'm seeing in terms of what Great Mother is speaking to you at this time. And of course, she's going to tell us about the support that's available to us to actually feel our divinity as divine and dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never condemned, judged, or left alone. The support that's coming through for you this spring and harvest season to feel this during this difficult transformation for you, Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon people, is acknowledge. Great Mother's coming through and she's saying that it's really important for you to acknowledge any form of abandonment or abuse issues that you're currently experiencing at home with your family. There's some pivotal times that are going to be coming up for you this spring season. The May new moon on the 15th of May and the June full moon on the 28th of June. So stay with us with this. And I know this could be really difficult for you, but she's coming right through with the March full moon in Virgo Libra, your 9th house, saying that it's time for you to acknowledge that 9th house energy that's present. That's saying that from your higher soul self, you know what your new philosophies are. You know what your new desires are. You know how you are relating to the strangeness in your life. In fact, you know what your old definitions of success are so well that you have noticed that there are changes around you, but you haven't expressed them. But internally, you've assessed, okay, so if I switch to doing it this way, this is how that would work out in my life. And you're not so sure that you want to go with that new way. Great Mother is saying, let's just slow the roll for a minute. Okay, it is a process for things to come into material manifestation, which is why we have the lunar cycles. This full moon period in March on the 31st is all about the full illumination, and the light that's coming to bear for you is acknowledge. It's time for you to acknowledge that abandonment or abuse. Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon people, with this 9th house energy, the sun is illuminating this full moon from your 3rd house in Pisces, Aries. So that higher soul wisdom in Pisces and the ego feeling that it's ready to move forward with that 3rd house, with that communication about it. And so this communication may not be in the outer world with people because you've just been kind of internally assessing it. But the ego soul communication that the sun is illuminating in that Pisces, Aries is supported by the nakshatra of Uttara Falguni. This energy will support you to be able to speak about it if you feel the need to do so, because Uttara Falguni is a dramatic speaker. It's a consummate listener. It knows how to get what it needs in order to shift things in its favor. This is an energy that you're really needing to tap into since your lunar new year with the Aquarius new moon in February. Your lunar new year is firmly underway now, with this being your 3rd full moon, and it's time for you to acknowledge what you're feeling inside. It's time for you to know that there is only one God, one law. There is nothing being asked or demanded of you that is not asked or demanded of any soul in this physical realm. Just as when Dorothy returns home from her journey in the rainbow world of Oz, and she is with her soul group once again, knowing that all is well. And so all is well even when it doesn't seem to be that way. And that is how the March full moon may feel to you. It may feel that on the one hand, I have assessed all of this internal information about who I am and how I'm seeing the world around me now, and I think it'll be okay. But on the other hand, there's trepidation with actually living it out. So what we are saying in terms of the support that's available to you is that if it needs to be communicated, if you are in a dire situation where it's really time for you to establish a boundary right then and there in March, there is energy for you to do that. If you don't need to do that right now, or you don't need to do it at all, just know that that energy is available for you to begin, those first steps of communicating your new space, or at the very least, paying attention to the internal ego-soul dialogue that's going on with your intuitive downloads from that Piscean solar energy, expressive energy, to your Aries sun during that full moon, and from the intuitive energy of the Virgo, of really wanting to organize and really wanting to be clear about what these new areas are in your life. as they will be manifested emotionally in your Libra energy, personal, professional relationships. It's quite a culmination of things, but the bottom line is that this is what the signature and the imprint is for your spring season, that March full moon in Virgo Libra in your 9th house being illuminated by your 3rd house. By the April new moon on the 15th of April, Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the night, is coming through to reinforce how important it is for you to plant a new seed with this awareness of feeling some form of neglect or rejection. So for you, having worked with this ego-soul alignment, you're now focusing in on the clarity, balance, and confirmation that you need to be sure that what you feel is what you feel and what you know is what you know intuitively with this Libra, with this Pisces, Aries, new moon April 15th in your 3rd house. So that 3rd house solar energy from the March full moon in the Pisces Aries is carrying over into your moon in the 3rd house, Capricorn, Aquarius moon people. And so that internal dialogue really coming to a real fullness, really coming to a real clarity, because the darker the moon phase is, the stronger the soul downloads are. And so we have this new moon in April on the 15th that is in Pisces Aries now, and so that ego soul communication is particularly strong with the nakshatra of Revati supporting that ego soul communication. Revati is a very beautiful, creatively passionate energy, and so you will be getting some inspirations about how to move forward with this insight, and perhaps even seeing the light side of this acknowledgement for you, and being able to really see how this will allow you to serve yourself and others even better. I know that through my experience of mama drama trauma, it has been an avenue that has opened up opportunities for me to assist other people to live in loving detachment. And so that's what Great Mother is saying, is that by the April new moon in Pisces Aries, you will be in a type of an ego soul communication new moon root chakra, that you'll be downloading new ways to ground yourself in the world. Perhaps in the past, you grounded yourself by assuming that certain birth family relationships were there, would always be there, and now with the April new moon you're realizing not so much. My real support is coming from over here, and I really hadn't activated that awareness in my life. Revati is going to allow you to do that in a way that serves you and it serves other people. So the energy coming off of you as you perhaps communicate these things won't be an energy of selfishness or resistance, but more one of giving of yourself, of sharing yourself. And that might seem strange, which it often does when we begin to embrace our divinity, how the energies are supporting us, which is why it's good to know what those energies are. And Revati is a real mercurial type of intelligence, and so it's an intelligence that will be able to connect with people in genuine ways. This new moon is kind of dancing with your personal power. And so this personal power that's coming up for you is one that is bestowed upon you, as we see Glinda the Good Witch bestowing the ruby red slippers onto Dorothy. You're going to feel at this new moon that there is a lot of opportunity for you to communicate how you're feeling. There is a lot of download that you're getting about how to go forward. And although you may not understand the full power of it, just as Dorothy didn't at this particular stage of her journey, you know that there's a power to it, because maybe there's someone around you who is still trying to harbor power over you, you know, trying to harness a certain type of debt over you or something like that, as we see the Wicked Witch of the East is doing with Dorothy. As soon as she gets the shoes, she wants to take them. And so even Great Mother is saying that even though you might feel that way, don't take those shoes off. You know, you've earned these pearls of wisdom over a period of time of actually kind of assessing, you know, how you're feeling. And so you are right about how you're feeling. Trust your gut. This is a gut chakra waxing gibbous moon card. And waxing gibbous is all about revising, editing, reassessing. And so you are doing that in your gut And so you can trust where you are at the moment. Sometimes we have to trust where we are at the moment and do the best that we can and know that that's good enough. This is the turning of the leaf process for you, Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon people. And not having the end answer right now is a shadow aspect of your moon sign. It can be very challenging for you to step out like that because you are so used to knowing what you know, and this information is so new to you that you really don't feel like you have a grasp on it. And that's okay, because as you work with the energies, you will, as we see with the April full moon on the 29th, Brigitte. Full moon card too. This is full moon, 5th chakra, which is all about fully expressing who you are in the moment now. Know that that's good enough, and that's exactly where you are and where you should be at this time. You should be in a place where you are expressing yourself. You should be in a place where you are feeling comfortable with what your new values, what your new ideas are at this time. And we're talking about values a lot because we are going into a transit where that's going to become increasingly important. But this full moon in April with this full moon 5th chakra is in your 10th house. This is Libra Scorpio. So on a soul level, your soul really has reassessed what it feels is a successful relationship with anyone. What it feels is really what it needs to move forward on its evolutionary journey. And you've downloaded that in a Scorpion way where you do feel like there have been some deaths in your relationships, as we see with the full moon sun in your 4th house. So those close domestic root chakra tribal family relationships undergoing transformation at this time with this Aries Taurus energy, wanting to lead the way in its new perspective of success, and the ego downloading that as okay, these are new values with regard to my family. And so new definitions of family, new attitudes about how you interact with your family, what it means to be supported, what it means to be loved, what it means to have a healthy reciprocal and authentic relationship. All of those things during this full moon in April is going to come to such full awareness to you that you are fully expecting that you're going to need to take care of yourself. You're fully expecting that now that you've made these decisions, these choices, and you've asserted these things, that you are going to need to perhaps take an extra bubble bath. You are going to perhaps need to cook yourself some additional meals or take yourself out more and do things more, because that person or that particular circumstance or that circle of people in your family, you've shifted that to take care of yourself, to reground who your true self is. This is when Dorothy asked the castle guards for the witch's broom, and they rejoice and exuberantly provide her the broom. Everyone's happy the witch is dead once she's gone. But Dorothy had to, create that situation. She doused her with the water, unintending for her to be killed through the process. But that's exactly what happened. And that's the resistance that you've had with this process happening, Capricorn, Aquarius, Moon people, that it is a process that your soul is wanting to bring to full illumination. And so by this full moon in April, you will be experiencing that in terms of what you're expressing and in how you are regrounding yourself through self-love. An important question I like to clients to ask themselves, individuals who are actively and consciously healing these situations, is as you are going through this process of self-awareness, and as you judge yourself for the choices that you're making, as we all do, hold the image up in your mind of the person that you are in that moment who is saying, these are my new boundaries, this is what I need, this is what I don't need, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Hold that person up in your mind who is taking themselves out to eat more often as opposed to going into a situation that's unhealthy. And hold that person up and ask yourself, can I love her too? Can I love him too? And you'll feel your soul rush back into your body with an answer of yes. Yes, that's a part of me. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. So dance with that. Allow yourself to create those new boundaries. Allow yourself to tell yourself what is okay and what is not okay. Even if the voices of should all over you or shoulding all over you and saying, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, at this particular time, when the sun is shining a light on Aries Taurus energy, Aries soul energy, and Taurus, emotional energy, then it's asking you, how are you reacting to your environment? And on a soul level, what is activating this sense of desire? What is good for me and what is not? New moon gut chakra energy. As Dorothy crosses the threshold from the farmhouse into Munchkin land. It's a process. She went step by step until they actually had to encourage her to follow the yellow brick road. Yes, you're on a path. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. It's not one full swoop. And you will define and refine and redefine your boundaries, but test out the ones that you're getting from this experience of self-mothering first. Because self-mothering, giving yourself an oil massage, before you take a bath, or, preparing your favorite meal, or taking that time that you need to yourself with no noise by establishing those boundaries. And that is what allows you to self-mothering. That's the dance that you're going to be doing with yourself during the full moon in April, or the dance that Great Mother is encouraging, because these energies during the full moon of April are completely and totally supported by Chitra. And Chitra is a nakshatra of the universal architect. This energy drafts a plan of beautification for the world. It knows how to beautify its own environment. It knows how to, it's that personality that does the city planning that everyone is just so enamored by. It has the practicality, but it has the artistic inspiration that everyone wants in the center of their living abode. And it is able to work through, those challenges of creating that, because it has such a strong work ethic, and it plows through struggle, with a real virtuous type of an energy. And so know that this is supporting you to feel your divinity, Capricorn, Aquarius moon people. People are going to sense, in other words, what's coming off of you is an aspirational energy in order to live your life in a more beautiful way that will allow others to live their lives in a beautiful way. Oftentimes what people find through acknowledging mama drama trauma is that their mothers are relieved that they are admitting it to themselves, that they don't have a perfect mother, because that takes them off the hook. They no longer have to be this fantasy or have to feel guilty that they are not fulfilling this fantasy that their child has. Working with Great Mother energy brings us in tune with the authenticity of our soul experience. Having done this, by May, what you're really going to be tuning into is forgiveness, is releasing those energies that have prevented you from getting to this point thus far. You're going to be letting go of a lot of heaviness that was associated with those feelings of abuse, neglect, or abandonment in whatever aspect of your particular domestic fourth house environment it may be. You may be the mother who feels that your child is being neglectful, and that has kept you from moving forward because you had that on your list as what needed to be done in your life before you could pursue your second half of life. It could be any scenario with regard to that. But by May 15th, the new moon in Aries Taurus in your fourth house, the full moon illumination, the sun energy in Aries Taurus has come forward into your fourth house of Aries Taurus of home and soulful communication about what feels good to you with the self-inquiry card. The self-inquiry card is extremely important. It's a balsamic moon card. It's about download. It's about getting that direct soulful information. And we're back here with new moon energy that allows us to do that in almost an effortless way. We just have to have the intention of doing that during the moon phase right before the new moon. That crescent moon phase that is waxing the lunar light out completely. That is the download phase. That is the moon phase where you're going to be able to look at the reality of where you are and the fourth house energy in Aries Taurus is conjunct Uranus in Aries Taurus. So this is a huge internal transformation in terms of where you've been for the past 7 years. So for the past 7 years, Uranus has been in your third house. So Uranus is the planet of soul genius, sudden sparks, innovation, etc. in Aries. Okay, it's been in Aries for 7 years of the leadership of, new starts. And so this is where you've been getting this and really coming to culmination for you in the last, the last year or so. And that's why you have been assessing all of this. And so now it's leaving Aries where you have gotten your soul downloads about how to express your individual self. And it's going into Taurus at this moon phase of Aries Taurus. Okay, in your fourth house. And so you do have very real soul, new, innovative definitions of what successful home relationships look like, close relationships look like. And there is a release of holding on to what the old perceptions have been, and no matter how crazy the new ones are, accepting them. This is Dorothy when she's greeted when she comes home by everyone at the side of her bed. And here is the Tin Man in the form of Hickory, the farmhand, asking her, do you remember me? Ask yourself, do you remember who you are? Do you remember the part of me that thought I lost my mind? Here I am, I'm fine. You're just recovering. You're just releasing and letting go and forgiving that part of you that didn't know that you were okay. Capricorn and Aquarius moon people, you are. And this new moon in Aries Taurus is really going to allow you to begin a process of reevaluating your values. Okay? And it will begin in earnest how you redefine what successful home relationships mean for you. And so that's the process that I'm speaking of. And so you have been feeling this come up, and it's come to a head now during this equinox season. And Great Mother is saying, ask yourself, can I love this part of myself too? Can I love this new self too? Can I let this new self in? Ask yourself any judgment or condemnation that comes up about your new self and how you're wanting to walk in your new life. As those judgments come up, ask yourself, is it true? That I'm being inconsiderate or that I'm not considering the needs of others. Is it true? Because this new moon is in Bharani. And Bharani is a nakshatra that is able to bear the negativity of others. Great Mother wants you to know that at this time it may be tremendously challenging for you to actually harness your newfound identity in a way that takes full responsibility for it by releasing others and your attachments that you have to them, and perhaps even judgments, by opening yourself up to not judging yourself. And the less we judge ourselves, the less of a need we have to judge other people. And so that's what Great Mother is inviting you to do. She's inviting you to feel and to experience that sense of self-love through Bharani that can bear the negativity of others like water to a back of a duck, So the center of your reading here is taking you to this new moon energy of Aries Taurus, this new evaluation of your values, beginning that journey in a way that specifically touches on the energy of the prostitute. This is second chakra full moon energy, and she always asks us, Ishtar, the variant energy of Great Mother, the primordial, the energy of the physical form that must give something of itself in exchange for survival. That's why it's the oldest profession. All physical, all life must do that, including human life. And the issue that we have is whether or not we're doing that in a way that sells us out or that honors us. So she, in the center of your reading, has placed this full moon to let you know that during that May new moon, where you are really feeling this newness in relationship to how your family should be, or perhaps for some of you how it is, your new desires are clear. You're not questioning them anymore. You're not going back and forth anymore, because you have allowed the signature of that March full moon to guide you to the center of this space, to the center of the season, in a way that fully supports the expression of your desires. The Ankh is the second chakra in the Great Mother Speaks deck. Our desires, our true wants, our relationships with one another on a physical, desirous level. Okay, and so this is where we get to the planting of the seed about how you want to move forward in your relationships. So your new moon wishes for May might be something having to do with that Taurus new moon energy that says, I want to easily and effortlessly live according to my highest values and pleasures. I want to easily and effortlessly allow those who have the best interest in the fulfillment of my desires and pleasures to come into my life, and for me to do things that are fulfilling to me, those types of new moon wishes, so that by the full moon, you're able to release anything that doesn't allow you to trust that inner wisdom that you work so hard to cultivate. Sophia, she's the new moon heart chakra card. The heart chakra is the crossroads between the ego and the soul. And here when Dorothy is asking Scarecrow which way to go, and he tells her any way will do, that is where you are, Capricorn Aquarius, in your process, in your journey, on your path. Any way that is alignment with your heart and how you feel at this time. Capricorn energy being the energy of I use, and Aquarius energy being the energy of I know. So using what you know, Capricorn Aquarius moon people, go forward. Okay? Go forward and allow yourself to release anything in your life, any judgments, any attitudes, any harboring of ill will or judgments towards others. Allow those to go through the filter of self-inquiry of, can I love this part of myself too? And is it true? To cleanse those areas, to let that inner wisdom come through evermore. This is where we're going, and this is where we're working with these energies for you, so that by the time the full moon in May comes, and this is in Scorpio Sagittarius, your 11th house, you are quite clear about how you are establishing group relationships, your clique, friends, and perhaps maybe even how you're falling back from them. But it would indicate there would be an establishment, because the Sun is in Taurus Gemini. That is illuminating this full moon in your 5th house. So that's expression. That is having fun. That's playing games. That's perhaps even dating. So maybe you're dating a new person. And this full moon in your 11th house of Scorpio Sagittarius is telling us that from a soul level, you have been reborn as it relates to people that you associate with, to people that you hang out with. Even your public image is changing. So for good or for bad, from the perception of others, because of course we have been practicing self-love and self-mothering and divinity through loving ourselves, asking ourselves if we can in the moment, can we? Which is a very important step when we feel stuck in self-love. Can I love myself? And because we've been doing that, what Great Mother is offering is that during this May full moon, that you let go of any feelings of victimhood. So anything that you were feeling victimized by, or anyone that you were continuing to feel victimization from, or that you could be victimizing someone out of maybe a retaliation for how they have behaved. She wants you to know that Anudra is the energy, the nakshatra that's supporting you. It's a very passionately creative energy that is a well-meaning energy. And it is very articulate. It can communicate itself very well, but it can be emotionally attached. And so the energy that is present at this time may still harness, again, hold on to some old emotional attachments. It's a process, isn't it? It takes time to let go. And so she wants you to know at this May full moon, you may still very well be feeling some frustrations, some aggravations with people, because people don't just automatically leave. You might be dating someone new in the full moonlight of this fifth house energy in Taurus, Gemini, but the old relationship hasn't quite exited, left yet. Okay, so, there may be some of that, and Great Mother is acknowledging that, and she wants you to acknowledge that too, but it doesn't change the work that you're doing with your second chakra in planting new seed to come to full illumination about what you want and what you don't want in your life, what sells you out and what honors you. And so that could be very frustrating. Of course, being a victim is about feeling that someone has power over us that we do not possess. And you know that that is not the case. You are making new choices. That power resides in you. Trust your gut about doing that. This full moon in May, by doing that, and again, we acknowledge the lights and the shadows. It's hard to love ourselves when we don't understand our weaknesses as well and love those. Okay, and so this full moon in May is going to give you the encouragement to follow your yellow brick road. By looking at all these different sides of the situation, by feeling them through. We have to feel our inner wisdom through, don't we? Okay, intelligence is what we know. Intelligence is the ability to figure things out. That's what intelligence is. Wisdom, that's why it's heart chakra, is ego soul. That has to do with experiencing things out. Following that yellow brick road and knowing things from experience. That's wisdom. Now, whether we know it from experience from this ego life or from another life that our soul has had and we just know what we know, either way, we take responsibility for the wisdom that we have on the conscious journey, don't we? And so if we know that a new way is going to better serve us, a new approach to our desires, to our self-love and our self-care is going to serve us, we take responsibility for that. And it is not up to someone else to get us and to know what we're doing and why. It's up for us to get us. And in the process of feeling victimized, as we all do, we're all programmed to behave a certain way in our birth family environments. And when it doesn't pay off the way that we expect, it's very upsetting. And so that's why we do have a victim card. But Great Mother is saying that full moon in May is all about recognizing your power to take full responsibility, to trust your gut, and therefore the boundaries that you've established so that you will ultimately know that you are well and that all is well. Go into the shadows. Great Mother speaks in lights and shadows and signs and symbols. And we interact and experience those in our lives so that we can come back with the story of wellness. And what is wellness? Wholeness, our holiness, health, happiness, wholeness. Those are the ruby red slippers, right? Our birthright. So that birthright that you have is ever present. It is ever deserved. And during this season is going to be experienced by you on a whole different level. This 4th house and 11th house energy in May for you, releasing and forgiving the past, is allowing you to express a new you, to release the old you, so that you can stand in your new you with the energy of Anudra on the May full moon on the 29th. Anudra is an energy of goodwill, of friendship. It's a very congenial energy. Whatever you're communicating and sharing with these new groups that you're with, or with old groups that you are communicating your new self and your new needs, will be received congenially, amicably. It's an energy of emotional attachment, though. And so they will also sense that. So you want to be aware of that so that you can convey your new self in a way that is emotionally attached in a healthy way, that you want to have a healthy relationship with them. That's why this is so difficult. That's why this is so painful, that type of language. In the past, I may have allowed ABC, but because I realize that this is what I need, I am going to XYZ. Okay, and I really do love everybody. I really do need this relationship in my life. I would like to continue it, but if I cannot fulfill, XYZ, I'm going to have to make some other choices that I really don't want to have to make. That kind of clear, concise communication is something that, depending on your sun sign, you'll have varying degrees of difficulty with. By June, we're looking at new and full moon energies that are really speaking to this expression, taking you to really a whole new level of how you express yourself, period. How you enjoy your life, what you're doing in terms of your creative expression even. So on the new moon in June, on the 13th, in Taurus, Gemini, you are downloading these new values and you are communicating them. Okay, it's in your 5th house. And Great Mother is saying that this is causing you some rage and frustration because you will feel that you're not being heard. But that's not true, because what's actually happening is that by you going through this body-mind experience of intuiting all of these new values and expressing them, you're actually centering yourself, and that's an internal process. So while you may be focusing on the outside and on the outside drama of what might be happening in life, what's going on inside is that there is a click, 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 a 3-heel click. You're getting back home to yourself. So the rage is really a transformative opportunity to center yourself in your true values, in your true self, in your true soul self, with gratitude. That's the challenge, is by seeing the outer drama that may culminate the first 2 weeks or so in June as the blessing and transformative power that you need to center yourself. This is happening with the nakshatra of Rohini, which is very magnetic. So that means that whatever you really are feeling now, people are feeling, they're sensing, and if they are not, vibing with it, there will be that clash. Okay, and so be aware of how magnetic you are. It doesn't require as much emphasized expression during the new moon in June on the 13th in Taurus, Gemini. It's also an energy of play, romance, creativity. Okay, and so you have that 5th house energy. And so again, it's not so much for other people and for other people to get. It's for you to get. You ride that energy. And you ride that energy with your best of intention so that you can ameliorate any conflicting circumstances that may very well emerge. And even if they do, working from this perspective, aren't you glad that you're watching this? You're aware of what's going on, that you can kind of ride it out and be aware of what's going on. Your Rohini energy is also an abundant, very fertile energy, and so you probably will actually be wanting to create new things. You might be wanting to create a new life, a new child. You may be wanting to create a new project, a new business. It's that kind of creative energy, and since it's in your 5th house, you may be wanting to do those big creative projects, as well as any type of artistic personality that has been suppressed through this as a result of the lack of support at home. Now that you've reassessed that coming out, you may start your own YouTube channel or reinvigorate your YouTube channel or, something else on social media, since we have those 11th house energies that were very active in May. Of course, everything carries through as that full moon on your 11th house in May had 5th house solar energies, this 5th house energy of Taurus, Gemini in your new moon in June. This is setting you up for the conclusion of the second quarter with the full moon in June on the 29th. This full moon in Sagittarius Capricorn is where Saturn is at this time, and Saturn is in your 12th house, which explains why this is such a huge maturation process for you, and why it is so important at this time that Great Mother comes through and tells you about the second quarter energies that are available to support you in making this transition. Rhiannon, self-doubt. Coming to a conclusion, there will be some remaining self-doubts about what you've done, why you've done it, is it worth it, all of that sort of thing, which is completely and utterly natural. We have in the processing of our evolution a maturation experience of seeing, experiencing, and undergoing. When we undergo something, that is the death rebirth cycle. This is that 12th house energy where Saturn is, the school teacher. It's in Sagittarius Capricorn, which is where this full moon is on the 29th, being illuminated by Gemini Cancer. So it's coming back to, this home issue, shining a light on this physical, emotional home issue, but the soul expression in Gemini coming through the 6th house. So if you're experiencing self-doubt, which could indicate some kind of, backtailing on some of these things, you may have some physical issues with your arms, your wrist, stomach, breast. You may have hay fever, issues associated with breathing, your lungs, nerves, and again, those physical imbalances are a result of ego-soul imbalance. So we have a first quarter moon, second chakra card, going back to desires. And so what you are being encouraged to do and what the energy is supporting you to do at this time is to stay true to your desires, regardless of what may appear in the outward world, regardless of what other people are saying in particular. This is when Professor Marvel on the side of the road is telling Dorothy who she is when he meets her and having run away from home. Other people will try to tell us who we are, especially when we are in that process of seeing, experience, and undergoing our own life experience. So oftentimes we will see that things are changing, as you have, Capricorn Aquarius moon people, for the past year or 2 years, but you're not really experiencing that. It's all still in the interior Great Mother Holy Spirit space. So therefore you're not undergoing it. You're not being reborn through it in a material and inner sense together. Okay? And sometimes we may be experiencing something, as it very much looks like you will as you work with Great Mother energies here, but you're not really seeing the benefit of it. You're not seeing what's happening. And so as you undergo it, there is some resistance. And then we can undergo things without really experiencing it, without really being present with what we are seeing. So this is a tremendous challenge for you, and we know that because it's 12th house energy. 12th house is always associated with isolation, alienation, because it is the last house of the zodiac wheel, where we integrate our experiences from it. Your experience from this home life situation of feeling some type of abandonment or abuse issues has been a journey through the wheelhouses, and now you are integrating that experience with the light of your 6th house, with the light of how you want to do your life now, how you want your daily life to be, how this relates to your health. Again, are you experiencing issues with your wrists, your hands, your breathing, your nerves? Do you have hay fever, unusually so now, and it's June? It's like, I have hay fever, what's going on? Are you having issues with your stomach, your breast area? That's going to tell you the degree to which these difficulties may be manifesting in your life, to really integrate what all of this has meant for you and what it means for you now. You do have the power to go forward. You may not actually feel that right now, but the nakshatra that is supporting you, that full moon in June, is Mool. And Mool is no BS. It sees the truth. People born with that nakshatra, I mean, they just know the truth. They may not necessarily be astrologers or into the occult or unseen tarot card. Your unseen wisdom is what occult means. It means unseen. They might not be into all that, but they are excellent investigators. Those investigative reporters that are still journalist type people, and you're like, dang, they really went deep into it. Or people who are just really good researchers, people who can just see the truth, and it's just that way, and that's just how they are. They have that ability. They're born with that, and they tend to be born with a family environment that was very secretive or kept the truth about their situation away from them, you know, whether they were adopted or whether there was some crazy family dynamic going on. And so these things, again, like mama drama trauma, kick a child into deep intuitive abilities. And there is resistance because people want us to maintain the illusion. There's resistance to that, which is why people have difficulty accepting their intuitive abilities, because people want us to see what they want us to see. And that's what you have been undergoing. You have been undergoing the turning of a leaf with that, to where I'm going to see what I see. I'm going to open my eyes and center myself and who I am. And it may scare me to death to get out of bed and to be myself and to see through my knowing. But I am making actions in my life now based on a decision to face that challenge. That is your second quarter reading, Aquarius, Capricorn, Moon people. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and sharing. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.
I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine